loud.
Way too loud.
So Canadian Open's tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's tomorrow. Okay. So.
Practice today is
like
2 to 4.
I was thinking that jump over there was like the bottom of the Canadian Open race.
Dude,
that really lippy one.
Yeah, but it's not a part of anything, is it?
No. Good thing. Yeah.
By IXS. We got a rough, gnarly course as ever, and the riders are ready to finish.
How do you want to spend 30 seconds? These are the last 30 seconds of freedom before we're on the spot for...
Real similar conditions to what we have at home in England, so yeah, I'm ready to ride the dust.
Similar conditions, yeah, right.
Yeah, I wish, eh?
It's amazing this year. I've never seen it so fast and dry, and it's just loose, man. I'm loving it.
How's it going, Pinkbike Live? Another edition, sitting up here with some downhill racers. We got the Canadian Open DH tomorrow. We got Troy Brosnan sitting first overall in the UCI World Cup standings. Mark Wallace sitting 8th overall in the UCI standings. So two guys who've figured out how to put it together this year. How's it going, guys?
Good, how are you, mate?
Good to see you guys getting pumped for the Canadian Open tomorrow. You've probably been here all week, so it's finally getting close to game time.
Yeah, finally excited to do some race practice and start thinking about a race.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
This is probably a race that you've been doing your entire career, because it's a bit of a hometown race for you. All you got to do is hop a ferry and make your way over here. What's been your top result in the Canadian Open the last few years?
2015 was the top one. I was second to this guy.
Oh, so you got a score to settle tomorrow.
I think so.
And
well,
you guys
the person that loses has to do push-ups, so that's also a bet we've got going on.
I was actually going to ask you about that, because I know on the Canyon team you guys have a couple funny little games you play just to keep the competitive vibes rolling. I know in Leger you won the downhill, and you were having a blast giving Fabian a hard time at the bar that night. Explain to me that little friendly game you guys have based on results for the races.
Well, it came from Mark's team originally, so I'll let Mark explain it a bit better.
So when I came on to the Dimension team with Gabe and them in 2012, they had already sorted out that the slowest person on the team had to do 3 sets of 20 push-ups from everyone who beat them.
Yeah.
And it could be anywhere. So yeah, whether you're in the restaurant or in the car or whatever.
And the winner gets to choose, kind of, right? Like, because I remember you were ruthless. You were like,
yeah,
you can't go light.
20 more right now.
Yeah,
like on the table in that corner, wherever you want.
Like, I've made Mark do them like chair to chair, so he has to go like real deep.
Like a planking push-up.
Next day, he couldn't even like do one push-up because he was so blown out.
So the game originated from Gabe then?
I don't know if it was Gabe or Stevie or maybe George at that point. I'm not sure. But
I would say it was Stevie because he never lost. So he would always get push-ups.
Of course, he would love that game. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to beat you guys all the time anyways, so
Yeah.
get ready to do some
Yeah.
push-ups.
Yeah.
But it makes you stronger, so it's all for the better good
yeah,
of the team.
exactly. It's
Training.
about building and getting better. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that's not the only thing you learned from Stevie.
yeah, there's definitely quite a few things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll bet racing the Canadian Open, how many times did he win it? He won it like 3 or 4 times in a row or something like that? Yeah.
3?
So that's probably fun to be able to try to like carry the Steve Smith torch, and how important it would it be for you to kind of get that win for yourself out here?
Yeah, that would be amazing. I'm just
You gotta hold it down for Canada, right?
yeah. Thinking about this race all year, like it's kind of like the home race, I guess. It's like you said, close to home. It's just a ferry ride away. So have family here and stuff, and it's an awesome track and amazing event. So
And obviously Heckler's Rock is one of the most storied things about the Canadian Open downhill. This year, they're making a big effort to stomp out anybody like causing a ruckus at Heckler's Rock.
Yeah, right.
Where do you guys think they're going to move? Because those people are going to be no less exuberant tomorrow. So where do you think they're going to try to sneak their way into?
I don't know. I think just down from that, it heads back into the woods, and there's like a really wide open, like gnarly rocky section, and there's always a lot of people there. Not as much as Heckler's Rock, but I think if they get kicked off, they're going to walk down the trail, so they're going to find themselves down there.
That's probably that's got to be one of the most challenging parts of the racetrack too, because like the holes are deep, the rocks are sharp.
Yeah.
What's the hardest part of the track for you guys? Two guys who've raced it a lot.
I don't know. For me, I think it's like the rocks, like all the rock slabs, and then because it's so dusty this year, there's a lot of like silt and like slippery dust on top of them, so they kind of look grippy, but they're actually really slippery. So them, and then there's all like, it's called a Canadian Open, but people call it the can opener because all the rocks are just jagged and sharp,
yeah.
and if you crash, you're going to be cut up for sure.
It's like there's different parts of the hill. Like some areas seem more dank and like rainforesty. That one just seems like dry and schnarbly.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be one of the gnarliest races of the year. How does it compare to some of the World Cup tracks?
Yeah, it's gnarly like a lot of them. Sharp rock. I don't know. It's shorter. It's, I guess maybe compares to Wyndham closely, like
Yeah, definitely.
dusty, sharp
yeah.
rock, flat out.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think we've come across like such a loose, dusty track at a World Cup this year. It's been pretty good, but this track is just it's different. You know, it's like it's high speed, kind of in some sections, and really steep in others. So it's got like a lot of everything, and a lot of like everything that it's got in it is actually really hard to ride. So it's definitely a tough one.
It would be a good candidate for a World Cup if they could ever figure it out. Would you say?
I
That
think
track?
so. I think it'd be better if they built one on Blackcomb. That'd be pretty cool because it's going to be a fresh trail and
Oh,
all
yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be stoked if they had a World Cup here in Whistler.
That would be sick. So Pinkbike user named Rhymer, and ironically there's no rhymes in their question. But they ask, World Cup DH is my favorite sport to watch, but I realize it relies a lot on technology and production to capture the event. Any ideas on how to make DH even more spectator friendly, or do you like it the way it is?
Well, I have a pretty good idea that I want to happen. I don't know if I can make it happen, but
Perfect opportunity to
yeah.
try
There you
to
go.
spit it out and
Here we
see if
go.
somebody can make it happen.
So I want say the top 5 or 10 from the qualifying to have a live GoPro, so you can see the rider as they're going down the track. You can see the whole run. If they have a mistake, you can see it straight away, and it's going to give more interaction. Red Bull does a great job of Red Bull TV of filming it all and doing it, but you don't get the whole run. So there's little bits that you miss, and there's always sections where a guy might be real close on the time, and then the next split he's 2 seconds up, and you're like, how did he do it?
Yeah.
So if you had that live GoPro, you'd be able to see it all.
It would be so sick. They do
Yeah.
a great job now of really breaking down the splits, who's ahead, that
Yeah.
little graphic that they have. But there are always those questions like, where was that time made up, or where was that time lost?
Exactly.
And if you did it as an experiment with just a handful of riders, like the top 5 or something like you're
Yeah.
saying, I'd be a fan of watching that for sure.
Yeah.
Troy, how many years have you been coming to Whistler? Personally, I remember the first time I ever saw you. I was on the lift, and I think you were racing maybe 4-cross or something like that. You were this teeny tiny little kid on a mongoose, I want to say.
Yeah.
And you just had like the most efficiency I'd ever seen at a tiny little human.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that kid, man, I don't know who he is, where he's from, but he could definitely do something. And here you are, so successful. How old were you the first time you came to Whistler?
Yeah, it was back in 2009. I think I was 15 when I first came here. I came here with mum and dad, and we actually spent a month. So came 3 weeks earlier to Whistler before Crankworx, and just rode all the trails, got to know it all, and had a blast. And then went throughout Crankworx and won a couple events and just had heaps of fun with everyone. So from then I've been coming every year, and it's been awesome. And just each year has been different. Hanging out with Sam Hill and Brendan, and now I'm friends with everyone that's an amazing rider like yourself. Just it's pretty crazy. It's been something so small to something so big, and I've even lived in Whistler for six months. So yeah, it's pretty crazy, and I'm just stoked to be privileged enough to do what I do.
That's rad. It seems like this place, regardless of where you came from, your first time here, you kind of just get hooked and you're like Velcro to this spot.
Yeah.
At least for maybe a couple weeks during the summer, maybe you spend the summer here. And Mark, you've been fortunate enough to live pretty close to this spot. When was the first time you met Troy? Did you meet him back then when he rolling in as a little 15-year-old?
I think I first met Troy was probably racing World Cups.
Cool.
I don't remember ever meeting him here. It would have been somewhere in the 2012, 2013 area.
Yeah.
And you've got some great riding at home. The trails that everybody remembers watching Steve Smith ride in Seasons. And is it pronounced Prevost?
Yeah,
Prevost.
exactly.
Somebody was asking, other than Mount Prevost, can you share any of your favorite places to ride on Lower Vancouver Island? Do you have any little secret gems that you want to share, or you keep those yourself?
Honestly, I don't have anything secret. Just Mount Prevost for downhill, and then Mount Suhalen's really good for trail bikes. It's pretty open and fast, so
I feel
that's
like
cool.
The island crowd, everybody I've ever met from there, you guys always have like just this ability to flip a switch and just freaking pin it. Growing up on the island and then coming up here to Whistler a lot to race and train, do you feel like you guys have your own little microculture there that develops like these kind of gnarly athletes?
I don't know what it is. I think maybe
It's the lucky logger, maybe.
I think maybe it's just the other riders that are there. Like, I know that I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for riding with Steve for years. Like, that makes a big difference. And maybe with Darren living there, like, I know he probably pushed quite a bit of the stuff, and the riding spots are just unreal. And it is quite gnarly riding, so when we come to other places, it usually doesn't throw you off too much. Like,
Yeah.
Like everywhere else is gnarly as well, but it's not like, if you can ride everything there, you kind of feel like you can ride anything, anywhere.
It's like its own
So-
little like perfect island of like, the recipe for building mountain bike talent, whether they want to be downhill racers or free riders. It just seems like the weather you guys have, the terrain you have, it's kind of like everything you'd ever need.
Someone pointed out to me once that the ground's all quite soft everywhere, so you can push yourself. If you crash, you just end up rolling through ferns. So
It's like a little bit sandier
stand back
dirt
up and
almost,
give it
huh?
another go.
Like a little bit sandier dirt, not as
Yeah.
much rock content.
yeah, almost no rock slide or anything.
Yeah,
so,
it's
yeah.
magic. So, Pinkbike user NY Shred, I'm assuming they're from New York. So, long question. Recently, young shredder Gustavo Guga Ortiz was seriously injured while training, and the talented Menon Carpenter decided to retire after the weight of the risk versus reward became too much to confidently continue racing. Do you guys ever start to think to yourselves that the danger level and talent level of downhill is becoming pretty ridiculous, and do you ever consider hanging it up? Long question. What do you guys think?
Well, I guess I can kind of like semi-relate to it, because I had a pretty big crash in 2012. Like, I dislocated my shoulder and ruptured my spleen, and we didn't actually know at the time that I ruptured my spleen. So I was hanging out, like, went and had a shower, ate some food, like did everything you shouldn't do, and it was like a few hours later, it was like had gnarly pains going up to my shoulder, and rushed to the hospital, was pretty much like passing out, and kind of laid flat on my back, not able to move, like not allowed to move for 10 days straight. Like pretty hectic moment. Mum flew over, I was in Austria, so Mum flew all the way over, and yeah, it was pretty like a big thing, I was I think 19 or something, so I was a bit young as well, and it was a big impact on me. But when I started to feel better and kind of get back home, chill, start riding a bike again after about 3 months, it's kind of the passion and fun of riding a bike kind of like prevails over the injury, I think. Like, I don't know, I think there's some people that are like born and they're strong-minded and they can like get over things and keep racing and kind of like just push through like the hard times, and then other people it hits them a bit harder and makes things a little bit tougher. So for me, like, it wasn't really, it was a big deal at the time, but coming back to riding, you know, I was the happiest guy like ever, just back on my bike, super stoked, riding with friends and just having a great time. So I definitely think that it's in the back of everyone's mind for sure. You don't want to crash and injure yourself, but you also love doing what you're doing, and you want to win, and to win you have to kind of take those risks.
It's a funny thing, isn't it? It's like when you're recovering, you look at the risks that you take so much differently because you know how much work you have to get back there.
Yeah.
But it's a nice little test to prove to yourself how much you actually do genuinely love it, because it always seems like as soon as you throw the leg over the bike again, everything just comes back to normal. And I think it's cool for the viewers to hear that from you guys too, guys who are at the top of your game. It's the same for you too. You know, you guys go through the struggles of recovering from injuries, and you know, for some people it does reach the point where you go, all right, you know, considering everything, maybe it's time to make a few changes. But I don't think anybody ever loses the love for riding. Conveniently, Andrew Cho just rolls up the steps. A guy who, man, couldn't even move any of his limbs just a few months ago, and he was just riding the mountain like 3 days ago for the first time. So regardless if people stop racing, I know everybody always continues riding, and sometimes it just takes a little break for people to realize why they started it. Mark, have you had any bad injuries in your career?
I've actually been very lucky with injuries. Like, nothing major yet. Kind of.
Yeah,
like,
that's wooden, by the way. That's why we have that there. Maybe petrified, but it still works.
But yeah, like Troy said, if you want to win and reach your goals, you got to push yourself, and you know that injuries are a part of it. And but at the same time, you know that your love for the sport is gonna kind of prevail. And I guess if you get to the point where you don't feel like you're riding for yourself anymore, or racing for yourself, then it doesn't become worth it. Like, so I can kind of see both sides of it, but.
If you're up there, the stuff going on inside your helmet has to be for the right reason.
Exactly.
So,
yeah, you can't be forcing it.
So downhill's physical, obviously, but it's super mental. Tyler Winans from YouTube asks, when did you guys start training for this season? Do you ever stop, I guess would be a better question.
Yeah, I think for me, like, we have World Champs normally in September, so middle of September, end of September is the last big race that we have, and from there I have about a month or so off and just no bikes, just kind of maybe riding a motorbike and just having fun with other things, going to the beach, and that's about it. So I guess I tend to start around December kind of thing, like firing it back up slowly, and then you kind of know over the years, like, you can get stronger and stronger like the earlier you start, but you can also burn out. So it's a really like tough battle between like you and your trainer trying to figure out like when to start, how hard to go, when, like, all these things combined, you know, it's actually the levels getting so high right now that you have to be super fit. You have to be like pushing yourself each year to get fitter and fitter, because you know that people like Aaron Gwynn is just going to be the strongest, fittest guy on the track, and if you're not matching that, then he's going to win.
So during that month and a half that you take to kind of just regroup before getting back into training again, do you kind of struggle with that? Are you thinking about other racers and going, those guys might be training already, they may not take a month and a half off? Or is it super important to take a month and a half off just to kind of relight the fire?
Yeah, I think the time off is good to, like you said, relight the fire and just get back into it. Like, it's a long season, and if you're training for the whole year before it, you get burnt out. Like, you get to this time of year and just, you know, kind of want to go do something else. But I know for me, like, after the season, a week or two off is sweet, and then after that I start to get bored.
Yeah.
Like, what do I do now?
The fire gets
like,
reignited very
so
quickly.
Usually try and like spend another couple weeks of like, okay, no, not yet, and then just kind of kind of get into it like end of October, November.
Plus you've been traveling around the world riding, and you're probably excited to be back at your home trails.
Yeah, exactly, and that's like the best time to ride at home. So
yeah. So Troy, I always, when we do one of these interviews, I always get up here and we have the rider's bike. So I like to, I'm just curious, I like to pinch the tires. I like to hold onto the handlebars, see where the brake levers are. And one thing I noticed is your bars are a lot narrower than a lot of, top downhill racers. Yet you have a big, gigantic numero uno on the front of your number plate. So trends are just trends. It's whatever works for each rider. But John Tyler from Pinkbike's YouTube page asks, Troy, why do you run such short bars at 740 millimeters long?
Well, that's for me, that's an easy kind of question. When you look at me, I'm tiny. I'm not big. So my shoulders aren't very wide, compared to what other people ride. Mark's a lot bigger than me. He's got wider shoulders, so he runs wider bars.
Speaking of big guys.
I've kind of always ran narrow bars, and also learnt off of Sam Hill. He kind of ran 735 for a while, and I was there, and then he went to 740, and now I think he's gone a little bit wider now for enduro. But I feel like more strong on the bike. Like everything's more in line. The further you get out, the weaker you get. So I kind of try and go as narrow as I can to keep the strength and everything, and it feels good. I don't feel like I need to go wider and kind of have that extra bit out there. Like it feels perfect.
Let that be a lesson. I feel like a lot of mountain bikers just blindly trust the trends.
Yeah.
Oh, wide bars are cool.
Yeah.
I must have to do that. But it really comes down to what's comfortable for you. And I've definitely tried to ride wide bars before, and I felt completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of on the same program as you right there. Mark, where's your bar sitting in terms of width?
780.
780, okay.
Yeah, I've tried 770s before and tried it for like a week. Couldn't get used to it. Didn't like the feel, and then 800s were too wide. Like Troy said, you just start to lose strength and stability. So yeah,
it's kind of hard to whip too when you're coming from out here. Like that's obviously not something important for downhill racing, but it's nice to chuck a whip every now and then. But you're trying to like drive this gigantic school bus. It seems ridiculous.
Yeah.
Jack Sharples from the YouTube page asks, which is your favorite bike park that you've ever ridden?
I think we're in it.
There you go.
I mean, here's really good, and then also Coast Gravity's really good, but they're two completely different bike parks, and I think Whistler's just got so much to offer. It's hard to beat. It's really hard to beat.
Well, that answer is hard to beat too, because if whoever asked that question actually wants to go ride those parks, you can make one trip and ride both of them. So come to BC, you can never go wrong.
Yep.
Now, on the other side of that, we're going to start talking about the UK and Scottish DH series from Nairndon on YouTube. They ask, the UK and Scottish DH series both had to cancel races recently. Do you guys race your national series still, and do you think having top-level riders provides a draw, or does it put others off attending? Neither of you guys are from the UK or Scotland, but do you guys still race any of your local races when you're home in between World Cups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I know we both do national champs.
Yeah.
And
I do like I kind of use the Australian National Series as like almost like a warm-up for the World Cups. We've got it all through the off-season, like January to March, so it's a really good time right before April, where the first World Cup's always held. So for me, like racing the national rounds and national champs back in Australia, it's summer, it's nice weather, it's a good like start of getting that racing mentality and the racing mind like clicking and ready for the World Cup. So when I come to the first World Cup, it's not daunting. It's like the first race of the season. I'm not nervous. I've done all these races that are lower level, but I still try and treat them like fairly seriously and also have fun at the same time. But when I come to that first World Cup, it's like it's easy. Like I've done it several times already this year, and it's just kind of just another race.
Yeah, keep the pencil sharp. It seems like with Australia having such a long lineage of top-notch downhill racers, you guys must be doing something right. So I'm sure that the local kids who are kind of climbing the ranks on the Australian series, they're probably excited to have guys like you showing up to those races.
Yeah.
Do you think the future is pretty bright for the young talent rising up out of Australia?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely had its ups and downs over the last few years, but I think now it's really climbing. There's a lot of like young rippers that are just riding their bike, you know, trying to do like over 10 runs a day back home, and it's pretty crazy to see, you know, they're just super stoked. And it's good when I'm out there and I can just be like on a cruisy run and see a bunch of kids and jump in with them, you know, get right in the mix, and they're losing it and going crazy. So it's fun to ride, and that's what I like doing. You know, if I didn't have fun doing this sport, I'd probably quit and leave it, you know. Like, having fun's the main priority for me with racing downhill, and if I wasn't having fun, what's the point?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so, Mark, you guys obviously have a lot of young talent rising out of your area, and I just saw some photos of the grand opening for Steve Smith Bike Park.
Yeah.
Did you show up for that?
Yeah, I went and checked that out. Just an hour from home, so it's pretty cool to see. I can't believe how many people came out to see it, and just the size of the park is unreal, and the quality that everything is it's amazing.
And it's like good mixture between dirt jumps and little pump tracks and stuff like that. What kind of features do they have at the park?
So yeah, there's like a few dirt jump lines ranging from beginner to expert. They have jumps, some wood lips, a couple wall rides, and then there's also 2 pump tracks built by Bella Solutions. Like a smaller kids one, and then a bigger full-on pump track.
I saw photos of the event, and it seemed like there was a huge turnout. Was it mostly people traveling from the mainland, or was that seriously how strong the youth brigade is on the island?
There's definitely people from other places, but I think the majority of that was all local. So it's pretty cool to see. And apparently, talking to some people, and it was just like every night since it was done but not even open yet, there was just like so many kids there riding already.
It's so rad. I feel like before Steve, there was a long gap in time between a Canadian World Cup podium and then when he started, you know, really taking over and making it happen. Do you feel like his success really kind of showed the kids, like yourself included, coming up under him, that, you know, you have this amazing terrain to practice on, and if you really put your head down and focus, you can make it to the top?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, he kind of, I guess, reinstated a path that all of us have just seen. Like, you know, myself and Finn, like Magnus, we've all just like seen it. Like, he literally, just from hanging out with him, just showed us how to do it. Like, and he was a hard worker, so I know we just all tried to outwork him and fill in the gap.
He proved the concept, and then he kind of took you guys under his wing a little bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Magnus, man, that kid is killing it. How old is he?
19 or 20.
So he's just out of the juniors now.
Yeah, first year league. Yeah.
I think you guys definitely got something going there, and I definitely noticed a big switch when Stevie started proving it. You know, the lift line in Whistler, back when I first started coming here, it was always people just doing it for fun, and then you started to see like some focused racers, you know, and look out world. No, Mitch Ropalato asked a question.
Oh, jeez.
Who has the best toolbox on the circuit? Hashtag Toolbox Wars. I feel like there's a backstory behind this.
Yeah, so there's definitely a backstory. There's John Hall, Aaron Gwynn's mechanic. He's got like a pretty good toolbox with everything's cut out into place and stuff. And then also my mechanic, Aaron Peltari, he's also got a toolbox that's a little bit different, like cut out stuff. And then he's got some boxes and like just a bit more accessible. So there's kind of like an ongoing thing between like Aaron and John. Like they're super good mates and stuff. So they're like, no, my toolbox is better. No, my toolbox is better. So now it's started to hit the internet. And Mitch loves to push it, so he's not scared to throw it out, and he's always doing Instagram stories trying to ask people whose toolbox is better. But I don't know, I'm a little bit biased, but at the same time I like Aaron's because it just seems to work a bit better. John's is like really neat, really tidy, has all the tools in the slot that it needs to go, but every slot he takes out, it takes up like 14 benches. So when he's working on Aaron's bike, Aaron Gwynn's bike, he's walking over there, grabbing a tool, walking over here. It's just a bit much, you know?
It's like downhill racing is like mountain bikes' version of Formula One. So the mechanics, obviously so important to have a mechanic who knows the ins and outs and is like a bit of a wizard to where they can put together a toolbox like that. But also, I mean, you guys are your own engines, and somebody here is asking about the Stargate Rituals. Let's see if I can find it here. Josh from Pinkbike specifically to you, Troy. What are your Stargate rituals? We always see Troy shake his hands above his head. It's like a monkey type of thing. I know exactly what he's talking about. I can picture it.
Yeah.
And thanks for demonstrating. What's the story on that? And is it something you subconsciously do, or is it, in fact, a bit of a ritual?
Yeah, I guess it only started a couple years ago, but it's one of my really good buddies that actually does some massaging and stuff at the World Cups has helped me with the arm pump one time, and he was telling me just like when you get into the gate, just like put your arms above your head, shake them, bring them down, do it again, like up again, shake them, bring them down, and then just go attack it. And it worked. Like I did a really good run that year, and it's kind of just stuck from then, and now it's starting to be like a full thing, like people waiting for it. I know it. Lenzerhide, I did it a little bit early and the camera didn't like show me until like 10 seconds, so no one saw it, and had mum and dad going like, why didn't you do the hands? Like, what's going on?
No way. So, we were talking about this yesterday because we had Carson Storch on the couch, and I live in the same town as him, so I ride with him a lot, and he had this ritual that just had to go.
Yeah.
Like, this is one thing, you could do the wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube-man thing and everybody loves it, but he would knock on his crotch. It got to the point where he was doing it in the middle of like live webcasts, in the middle of his runs, you know?
Oh, no.
He would land a trick, and it's something like District Ride where you gotta like cruise a long way to get to the next district. He would think there's no cameras there, and he'd just be knocking on it. I feel like that one you can stick with. People like it.
I think it's alright, yeah.
Carson had to get rid of that one. Yo. Okay, sweet. So this one, we only got 3 more questions for you guys until we switch out for Jack Moir and Brooke Mcdonald. So might as well take this Canyon question. With Canyon now launching in the USA, what do you think about another World Cup in the States?
Yeah, I think that it'd be pretty good. I think, you know, the United States is a massive place, and it's got definitely good potential for amazing tracks, and now that Canyon's actually like bringing in bikes direct to the USA, it's going to be awesome for us and for Canyon itself, just to fully like sell straight to the consumer, and people going riding their bike and then seeing a World Cup in the home country. It's going to be pretty crazy. So I know there's definitely talk with that going on maybe for 2018, 19. So Mammoth and all those hills are ready, and they've got definitely enough mountain to actually get it done. So it'd be pretty awesome, I think.
Be a little less traveling for you too.
At
least be able to stay here for another race.
A bit quicker for these guys as well.
Yeah.
A little bit closer.
Yeah, exactly, huh?
Yeah.
So Sebastian Hinkes from YouTube asks Troy, how is the shift from an established team with huge experience in racing, obviously Specialized he's referring to a bike that had never been raced at a World Cup level, Canyon? And I mean, you proved right away that it works, but what was that transition like for you?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a hard decision on my behalf on like, you know, to actually break away and go to Canyon. You know, it's a bike that hasn't been raced on a World Cup circuit, or at least podiumed on a World Cup circuit. And for me, it was a big decision in my career, and one of the biggest I'm probably going to have to face. So I think that it was definitely a tough one at the time, and also getting used to the bike was tough as well. It was a lot different. It's a lot longer and slacker, and just a whole different kind of suspension geometry at the same time. So it was tough getting it perfect and getting it right. But honestly, I'm surprised that we've gotten a win and in, you know, right up there for the overall this year. So it's pretty crazy. But yeah, everything's been running smooth. The team, Mark, having like good people on the team and riders is awesome, and it's just made life a lot easier, especially having Gabe come across as team manager now, and everyone loves Gabe.
Can't beat that guy, man.
Yeah. It's been really awesome, and something that I'm super proud of to be, you know, the first Canyon athlete for downhill to win a World Cup on that bike. It's something special. You know, Fabian's gone and done that a lot of times in the past, and kind of created this bike, and to get it right up there, and even Mark's gotten a second on it as well.
I was just going to bring that up, exactly.
It's crazy. We've had an amazing season already, and it's not finished, so who knows?
Tell me about that podium, Mark. Obviously circumstances were crazy, but you know, racing's racing, and you got to put it down regardless of the day, the circumstances. That had to feel pretty great to start the season out like that.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like first race with the team and everything, just wasn't really sure I was gonna go. Like we're feeling good, but you don't know, right? Like you haven't raced this bike yet, and yeah, just came to the race, had a good run. So like honestly, I would have been happy regardless of the result. And then the rain came, and it was just like, all right, well,
yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Downhill racing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for showing up to the couch, you guys. You guys are killing it this season. Sitting 8th place overall, 1st place overall. You guys racing Canadian Open downhill tomorrow, so I'll be rooting for you. And thanks for sitting and answering all of our questions.
Thanks for
So
watching,
it's not
guys.
over yet. We got another half an hour. We got Brooke Macdonald rolling in and Jack Moir. Big round of applause for these guys. Yeah. All right, Jack and Brooke, bring it on. Oh, we're gonna. All right, we're back. We got two fresh faces on the couch. Brooke Mcdonald, what up, Brooke? Jack Moir, what up, Jack? Pleasure to have you guys here. How you been enjoying your Crankworx week so far?
Good. Normally been here and done a bunch of racing, and it's pretty hectic, but it's just been good to just actually get out on my bike and ride the park and, you know, ride stuff that I haven't had to race on, so it's been awesome.
I always feel like you, Brooke, make the most out of the Crankworx week. I see you getting laps majority of the days. You're getting after it, showing up to the parties, having a good time. Is this one of your favorite events of the year?
Yeah, for sure. It would be definitely one of the favourites out of the calendar this year. It's just good to come and ride. I mean, we don't really get to ride much jumps on the World Cup circuit, so it's just sick to come and lap up A-line and Dirt Merchant and Crabapple.
That's the funny thing I think a lot of people would be surprised about, because the technical downhill riding here is so top-notch, but you guys are riding top-notch technical downhill all the time. Is that really what Crankworx represents for you guys on the World Cup scene? Is a chance to come out and like do trains on Dirt Merchant?
For sure.
Yeah, like
definitely.
there's always heaps of boys here from home that I don't see all year during the World Cups as well. So it's just a cruisy week, but it's still good training because there's some big names competing.
So you're saying there's a lot of Australians in Whistler?
Yeah.
I hadn't noticed. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to keep an eye out for that. So Jack, you're having a good season. You're sitting, I want to say, 5th overall in the World Cup. How many seasons have you been spending on the World Cup, and is this your first time kind of really breaking into that top elite echelon of riders in the overall?
Yeah, so I did my first full elite season in 2013 as a privateer, and then in 2014 I got into the top 10 a couple of times, and then had a collarbone injury which put me out for all of 2015, and then came into 2016, had a couple more top 10s, and slowly got better towards the end of the year, like coming back from the injury, and then this is the first year I had a good season, good off season of training, and then come in ready to
Good off season of training, maybe a little bit of surfing, just to keep the mind fresh.
Yeah, exactly.
If you don't follow Jack on Instagram, go check it out. He knows his way around a surfboard. So Pinkbike user Joe Bowman, question for Brooke. We hear you recently had a boxing match with Finn Isles. What was that all about?
Yeah, we were in Chef filming some stuff for a new film that's going to come out with those boys, and we're in a boxing ring.
Oh, so it wasn't like just something that happened late night in the village?
No.
It was like a
Wasn't a
scripted
brawl.
scene.
No, it wasn't a full-on brawl.
Yeah.
I mean, it did get pretty heated.
The kid's getting
And,
big now, isn't he?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was so surprised at his strength. He definitely had some good punches on him.
He's got some balls,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, to agree to put on some
Yeah.
boxing gloves and
And,
stand next to you, that
Yeah,
takes some
so
balls.
yeah, we just jumped in the ring with some gloves on and had a bit of a go.
So Slayer Dinar asks another one for Brooke. You used to wear a neck brace racing, but now you don't as much. Why are racers wearing them less than they used to now?
I guess I stopped wearing one just because I didn't feel comfortable with it anymore. I mean, I know it's a protection for sure, but I just started riding without it and felt a lot more comfortable. Just felt a lot more free.
Yeah. I guess it's whatever you're used to. I started wearing one after a neck injury, and I told myself if I cause I had a problem with my arm because of nerves and stuff. I was like, if I get that arm back, I'm always wearing a neck brace. So I have been now for like 4 years, and if I go riding without it, I just feel naked and weird. But it just comes down to whatever you're used to, probably.
Yeah, exactly. It's what you prefer and what you feel comfortable with.
So Charlie Harrison from YouTube asks for Jack. Hey Kev, Billy Bain here. Do you know these guys?
That's my team, mate.
Oh, okay, cool. Do you feel that your stack height really gives you an advantage over your competitors as you're literally on such a higher level with the stack? And I was saying that too when I hopped on your bike. It's like you got high-rise bars, you're rolling forward, big stack underneath your crown. What is it about that setup that really keeps you comfortable?
Yeah, I think it's just because I'm a bit taller. I just like the bars up a bit higher. I don't like fighting to get over the back. So I think it was a bit higher on my old 27.5 bike, because if you got it the same compared to that, then on a 29er, then you're real high in there. So I've dropped it down a bit since I've been on the 29er. But yeah, all these boys have always gave me a bit of black over the years for running the real high front end, but now they're doing it as well.
Yeah,
so.
it's like regardless what you do, somebody's gonna be like, that's wrong, that's weird.
Yeah.
Like Troy having narrower bars and other people, you having a higher stack. It's like, don't follow the trends, kids. Wear a neck brace if you want, don't if you don't.
Yeah,
put your bars wherever you want.
Whatever works for you, eh? Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Is that the same stack height as you used to run on the Bergamot?
See, on the 27.5, like, the bars were probably the same height, but if I put it in compared to that with the 29, it would be like riding on a skyscraper.
Probably takes a long time to get your cockpit feeling the way you're comfortable with when it's a new frame. You said this is just your second day on this bike. How are you liking it so far?
Yeah, I've actually just done 4 runs on that. It's the first carbon prototype. I've been on the alloy one all year, so it's hard to, like, there's a lot of positives. It's a lot stiffer, it's a bit more supple in the rear, and they've made it to the size I've been asking for all year. But I've only done 4 runs, so it's hard to say, like, but I'm loving it, yeah. Got Canadian Open practice this after this.
Yeah. Have you ridden the Canadian Open course on this bike yet?
Yeah, that's what I did yesterday.
Okay, cool. So Mr. W is kind of on this topic. They're from YouTube and they're asking, how is it to race a prototype bike with a new wheel size for DH, especially when it's one of the first times a 29er has ever been raced at a DH World Cup? So were you racing a prototype version of this at some of the World Cups this year?
Yeah, I was on I've ridden about 3 versions of the alloy prototype this year, and it's the first time I've had like a big part in like developing a new bike, so it's awesome. And, like, yeah, it's just pretty cool to be involved with something like that.
So this one's not out yet. This is still just
no,
the
that's
first carbon proto.
Yeah, first
okay,
carbon
so it's still
proto.
proto.
So yeah, we'll tweak a few things and keep testing it. And if we need to change anything, I just tell the boys. Yeah.
Now, this guy was asking this question earlier, so we might as well answer it now. They're curious about suspension setup. Now you guys are deleting the question. So Brace Rodriguez asks, how many low-speed compression clicks on the fork? How do you set up your suspension? This is something that always is a fun topic because we had whip-off competitors yesterday and they're talking about slow rebound being important. What do you guys err on the side of for low-speed compression?
I guess for us it's hard to say because we change our suspension so often. So
for different tracks, probably.
Yeah, different tracks. We're not always leaving the low speed at 12 or whatever most people run, but I guess it's kind of hard to estimate what we're running. I can't tell you off the top of my head what I'm running because I change it so often.
And when we had the Enduro World Series riders up here, they were getting a lot of questions. Turns out that crowd really likes the technical questions about bike setup. So they were talking about tire pressure a lot, and those guys were running such incredibly low pressure with, inserts and tubeless and stuff like that. Troy's bike had pretty hard pressure. Your rear tire has pretty hard pressure. When you're balancing out traction versus durability for pinch flats, do you run it harder just to carry speed and just kind of leave it up to your bike skills to keep the tires stuck to the ground?
Yeah, it depends on the track. Like, especially like compared to EWS and downhill, you push a lot harder on a downhill run. Like on an EWS, it's like 10, 15 minutes. You're not riding 100%, maybe 90%.
Larger margins, more racing, yeah.
So with the downhill, and like you're pushing flat out, so it's real easy to get a puncher or something. So it depends on the track as well. I've run pretty much around 28 in the front, 30 all year, and then at Mont I had to bump it up a bit because it was rough on the bike.
Probably do that for tomorrow as well, because that track's pretty rough, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but it's hard here because it's also so loose. You can't put too much in as you're skating around a fair bit.
So it seems like a pretty brutal season. I think you guys have 6 races for World Cup downhill. Is that how many there are?
6 and then World Champions.
6 and World Champions.
So it's a lot of races.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a full summer, but 3 Sheeker from YouTube asks, why are there so few UCI DH races? Do you think there should be more?
Yeah, I think there should be more for sure. I don't know the reason why there isn't any more, but yeah, it would be awesome to have maybe 2 or 3 more World Cups, but spread it out over the whole year.
So, question for Jack from Pinkbike. You had 2 top 10s in the EWS at the start of the year. Why didn't you race any more after that? Just been focusing on downhill?
Yeah, I kind of just did the EWS at the start for a bit of training, and I love riding my trail bike. I ride the trail bike more at home than the downhill bike, so thought I'd just give it a go. And yeah, had a lot of fun with them, but then once the downhill season started up, I focused on that.
Did you always start out as a downhill racer? Did you come from more of a trail riding background and then find racing?
Oh, no, straight to the downhill.
Straight to downhill.
Probably didn't even ride XC until, I didn't even start, riding XC until I started training for junior odds in 2012. Before that, I was just all downhill.
Have you ever tried an EWS race, Brooke?
Yeah, I raced Whistler here last year. But I was super sick. Had an ear infection, so I wasn't really the best day out. And then I raced one back in New Zealand, the EWS. I think I finished maybe 24th or something. But yeah, it's a sick event because it's, you know, you get to ride with all your mates and it's just like a massive day out riding bikes, and then you do a race run. And yeah, I think it's a good sport for our, you know, what we've got.
Mountain biking as a whole, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
You were out there at the whip off yesterday. Jack, were you out there?
Nah.
Focusing.
Yeah. I've done this shoulder blade in a whip off before. And
oh yeah.
Learned
your lesson.
Yeah. Watch these boys hang it out.
You have a good time out there yesterday?
Yeah,
at the whip
it was
off?
sick.
There was a lot of people.
Yeah, the crowd was massive. It was awesome to see.
It was hard to get back to the top. There's so many people.
Yeah.
It completely filled the ski run. So Pinkbike user asks, this is Andy D84 asks, where and what is your favorite non-competition trail in the world? So after you guys are done, you know, focusing and being stressed out about racing, what's your favorite trail to just go rip with your buddies?
I have a lot of fun just riding like all the secret trails over in Morzine in France.
Nice.
But I mean, I more ride them because they're real good training for all the World Cups. They're all technical and routine and stuff. But yeah, I think like just cruising and hanging out with your buddies, not having to worry about racing. You'd have to come here and ride like dirt and a dry one, just throw whips and jumps the whole way down.
So this question always pops up when we have World Cup racers on the couch, so we might as well just make it a tradition and keep asking it. Was Aaron Gwynn's race run at Mont Saint Anne the best run of all time? If not, which was?
It was pretty incredible, eh?
Yeah, it would be up there, but I think Danny Hart's run from Champree's topped it off for sure.
It stood the test of time too, because I feel like everybody knows, like, can picture that run.
Yeah.
Even, you know, a few years down now, that was pretty iconic. For you, which one was your favorite?
Man, I don't know. They were both pretty sick. I just know I wasn't at Champree, but I was at Mont Saint Anne, and like even just the trail being way wetter, like just the vision, like it was so hard to see. Like I don't know how he was going that fast. Like there was only like a couple spots where you could pull a roll off. I got one like up the top, and then maybe just after that at the top.
Probably on the flat section at the bottom, eh?
Yeah, I didn't. You're like trying to sprint there as well, though, so it's hard.
Because you came through with time in the green pretty late on as well, because you must have had a good qualifying.
Yeah, I came down in like 9th last. I think I qualified 9th maybe, but yeah, I didn't come down in green. I came down in like 4th.
But you were ahead in the splits in the middle, I think.
A couple of splits.
Yeah, it was hard. I was up on the trainer, like doing my warm up, watching all the riders come down. Just like trying to, like maybe 10 seconds back, just waiting for someone to sort of go close, so I knew you could like get close to it, but I don't know.
Yeah, you could almost say that track is probably better in the wet than a little bit of rain on it, because with a little bit of rain and then it dries out, just all the rocks in the woods get real slippery. So, I mean, with all the rain that came down, I think it made it a lot better.
Yeah, like some bits for sure.
But it was just the vision that was probably the hardest thing. But yeah, Glenn's run was impressive.
Pretty insane.
They made for some high entertainment value.
Yeah, I finished my run and I was like, I don't know if anyone's going to get close
Yeah,
to
I think
Dean Lucas.
most people wrote the race off, so
Yeah.
he came down the last.
Sitting there watching the webcast, I'm like, oh, this is going to be boring now. And then, oh, there's something to be excited about.
Yeah.
So yeah, that dude has had a handful of pretty impressive and entertaining race runs.
Yeah.
So, question for both of you guys, another techie question. Do you guys prefer air or coil for your rear shock?
Coil.
I run coil. The reason I run coil is because our bike's pretty linear, and I like the suppleness, the sensitivity on the top of the stroke of the shock. I tried an air shock and I liked it, but I just couldn't. I couldn't get the bike to work properly off the top of this stroke.
Oh, okay, so you didn't have any problem with it ramping up. It was linear and you just wanted it to be more supple on the top.
Yeah, I wanted to feel the start of the stroke of the shock.
Yeah.
And that's why I went back to a coil.
It's the exact same reason I run coil.
Oh, so I wasn't even aware of this, but now I'm definitely asking you this question because I'm super intrigued. Curtis from YouTube asks, Jack, can you tell us about your shark attack? Did you get attacked by a shark?
Yeah,
No
as if
way,
you haven't
dude.
heard, everyone's always like,
Well, I've heard you.
show me.
Oh man, no way!
Yeah.
No way!
Yeah.
I've heard people call you Shark Attack Jack before. I thought that was just a cool nickname because you're from Australia and you like to surf and stuff. How long ago was that?
Oh, maybe 2007, I think. I was 13.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I was just surfing with my buddies, and I was actually standing up at the time in waist deep water. I'd caught a wave in, I was just jumping over waves waiting for the set to pass. And something grabbed my leg, and like, at that beach, it was a pretty like, it's not a main beach, like no one goes there, so you'd always stand on like stingrays and stuff walking out, and they'd like, so I kind of just thought I'd stood on a stingray and it wrapped around because I couldn't feel the pain.
It happened so fast.
Yeah, and then the water started sucking out a bit, and then I seen the shark just thrashing on the sand to get back out because it's getting real shallow.
He's taking your calf with him.
Yeah, so I've like kicked it, and then he's grabbed my heel, and the heel was like hanging off, and I looked at my leg and it looked like a dog bone.
Oh my god! And you're a professional mountain bike
Yeah,
racer. He takes your calf muscle and your heel.
Oh, I wasn't even riding. Oh, I just started riding mountain bikes then. I was more surfing. But yeah, so then I just caught a wave in on my belly, and then my mate took his board shorts off and wrapped around and did all that. My mate ran home and told mum and dad that my leg had been bitten off by a shark.
Oh.
So they're just freaking. Dad's like pinning it down to the beach in the car, and then an off-duty cop follows him like, why is he driving so fast? Pulls him up and he's like, oh shit, and then yeah, they
So
got
he
an
got
ambulance.
pulled over for speeding, trying to go like help his kid
Yeah.
whose leg just got bit off by a shark.
Yeah, so it was pretty gnarly, but I mean, yeah, I was real lucky with that.
So it sounds like you grew up surfing. That's something that your family also did a little bit.
Yeah, Dad taught us to surf and ride motos from a real young age. He grew up surfing and riding, so that was pretty cool.
Surfing's like a pretty addicting thing. There's not too many other things that can really compare to it. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear that you were really into that. You got bit by a shark, and then fast forward however many years later, and now you're a top World Cup downhill racer. Did getting bit by the shark contribute to you spending a little bit more time on the bike? There's less sharks on the trails, or what?
Nah, it's actually funny. I used to live in the bush, and I used to surf heaps, and then we moved up the coast, like across the road from the beach, and that's when I got into riding bikes. Like I didn't even ride push bikes in the bush. I just rode motos. So I think that's how it happened. I ended up just riding. I like both sports equally. I just surfed during the week because I was so close to the beach, and then on the weekends would travel to the downhill tracks and do laps all weekend.
Ooh, should we ask that question? They put 1 billion pink arrows to it, so they're wanting to like tickle us on this one. This could be controversial. Spencer Coers from Facebook, the Pinkbike Facebook page, asks, do you think it's time for another organization besides UCI for running elite downhill? Ooh.
I don't know if I want to get involved.
Yeah. I'm just trying to be nice because you put a million pink arrows on it. So.
Yeah, okay.
That's a hard one for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty easy. Like, there's a lot of things you could say, oh, they could do this better, you could do that better, but it's pretty easy to look at that from the sidelines and say that stuff. But I don't know. Yeah.
At least somebody's doing it, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys go to all the Crankworx events? Did you hit all 4 this year?
I just done Rotorua and Jake's done.
Yeah, I've done all.
Done all 4.
He's going for the overall.
Yeah.
Well, that's right. You're sitting like second for the overall or something, aren't you?
No, I'm sitting second for the King, but
the
first
King,
in the overall for the downhill.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I got the overall in the downhill last year, so I thought I'd make an effort to go to all the races and try to get that again this year.
That's right. So I know Adrian Laurent, he's been getting some pretty good results the last couple days, and I hear he's got a pretty big lead right now.
I think he's kind of checking out for the King.
Like, if you crunch the numbers, is it still possible for you to get up there if you do really well tomorrow in the Canadian Open?
Nah, I don't think so. Even if I win, like, he just won. What was it? He won dual speed and A-line.
He won A-line.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's seen that coming.
I mean, he's got
so impressive.
Dual slalom today too. So
yeah. Like, he's way ahead.
Yeah, he can start celebrating maybe. 260 points.
Yeah,
you got that.
What do you? I think you get 150 for a win.
Okay,
So,
no mathematician, but it doesn't sound like this year. But maybe next year.
Yeah, maybe.
You could try out any of the other events, like.
Yeah, I only did the downhill this year. So, and I think the enduro in Rotorua counted towards that as well.
So you like try out slalom, maybe a little speed and style. You got tricks on the surfboard. You got tricks on the bike.
No tricks. I was thinking about doing a few races like pump track and stuff like that, but I didn't. I've still got the final round of the World Cup in Valdesol and Cairns World Champs, and I didn't want to burn myself
Turns out that's a little bit important.
Yeah.
Brooke, you got some tricks too. I know I've seen you flipping and spinning like back in the day in Leo Gang into the foam pit
and
stuff.
What about the Stevie?
And then that's what I want to talk about. I was hearing you were trying Cork 720s in a mulch at the Steve Smith Memorial Bike Park grand opening.
Yeah, we just had a massive session there. I was actually trying to do dump 360s, and somehow it turned into like a half of a Cork 720, and I was like, well, I'm just going to commit and keep trying it. And yeah, I think I got pretty close to landing one, and then I just shut it down because I was like, no, I can't afford to rig
too
myself.
risky, eh?
Yeah.
I mean, it's into a mulch pit, and I never jumped into one, so it's kind of like soft at the same time, but when, you know, multiple people have been riding it, it gets blown out. So a couple of times I went over and I had a big slam and whacked my head a couple of times, so I was like, I'm checking out.
Yeah, you got some important stuff on the horizon this year. My brother told me that you kind of dibble-dabbled with the idea of like, man, it might be fun to ride Rampage someday. Do you still think that might be something you would want to give a whirl?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to give Rampage a go. I rode Hardline last year, and I mean, it's no level as Rampage, but there's some pretty big features.
It's about as similar as it gets, though. There's not too many things that come as close as Hardline does.
Yeah, maybe one day. One day I might make it out there for sure.
I feel like you would be right at home out there. Yeah. Probably suit you super well. I'd love to see that. So from dry Utah desert topic to, they want to talk about wet races. Kevin Thumb asks, how do you train for wet races like Mont Saint Anne? Is it even possible?
Well, not really, because Jack and I both
from pretty dry
countries, and I guess we have summer to summer, and it all depends. Like, it's super hard to go out and ride your bike on a day that it's pissing down. You don't really plan on going out and riding your bike in the wet. So I guess it is pretty hard for us to train for conditions like that, but I mean, you know, it's just something that we have to deal with. And
I've always kind of wondered if there's any truth to this, because I've heard downhill racers from Southern California traditionally saying that if you're riding in really loose, dry conditions, slippery is slippery. So if you're training in that type of difficult weather, then, you know, make it rain, and it's going to be slippery in just a different way, but some of the concepts still apply. Do you feel like there's any truth to that?
It's a different type of slippery, but yeah,
I guess we're both ridden in California, similar area where Aaron's from, so you can kind of get the gist of how he rode in Mount St. Anne. didn't think he would do something impressive like that because he rides dry stuff all the time. So
yeah, nobody really expected that. It's like Temecula guy gonna win in the rain. Like when some people dropped in the dry, like yeah, good luck, but never count that guy out. So a lot of people curious. You know, arm pump is always a heavy topic when we're talking to downhill racers. The idea of dropping in and, you know, going 5 minutes sometimes and still being able to hold on to your bars, modulate your brakes at the bottom, it seems impossible, but you guys have a way of figuring it out. Roland Fichot from Pinkbike wants to know how you strengthen your hands. Are there some specific exercises that you do on a regular basis, or is it just time on the bike?
Just time on the bike.
Yeah, I've never found anything that actually helps with that. Like, coming into Fort William, first race of the year, I always struggle with my hands because I haven't been riding. Like, there's no downhill tracks that compare to that in Oz. And it's pretty much the only thing is to just do heaps of runs on a rough track. Like, I even tried this year, I did runs on like the roughest downhill track I have just on my trail bike, and your hands like get beat up, and I think that helped a bit. But yeah, you just like, by about this point in the season, my hands are pretty good. I don't really have many problems.
It's convenient that time on the bike is the thing that helps most, because it's way better than spinning the Dyna-B or rolling up the dumb weight and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I have to train with my hands.
I've never ever done anything to train my hands. Just either ridden moto in the off season or just ridden my downhill bike loads.
Yeah. So Brooke, you're like one of the most aggressive and fun riders to watch I've ever seen. Like some of the riding that you did when we were together for Not Bad at Queenstown, like just watching you destroy those berms and rip those whips was so impressive. And we've got a user here, Sly Hound, wondering if you use carbon or aluminum hoops. I feel like you'd be the perfect person to test either concept. So which ones do you prefer?
I've only ridden aluminium. I haven't had the chance to test carbon.
Nobody recommended that to you? Your mechanic's not really like wanting to deal with that?
Yeah, I think we kind of just try to stick with the strongest rim from stands that we've got, and yeah, I don't think they have a downhill carbon rim yet, but I mean, yeah, if I get the chance to test one, for sure I would.
What do you like better?
Yeah, well, I've ridden alloy all my life, and this year we've had the chance to run Envy. They sponsor Intense Factory Racing now, and like I'm loving you feel the stiffness straight away when you get on a carbon rim, especially with the 29er. It flexes even more, so I think you almost need a carbon rim when you ride a 29.
So speaking of 29s, somebody from YouTube is asking Brooke, would you race a 29er on downhill, and does GT have one in the works? Spill the beans.
I mean, I for sure would try it, but I think a 29 downhill bike is a bike that's going to suit someone for the likes of Jack and Moir. Yeah. As I guess a few people have seen, they haven't really suited the likes of Denny. Who else?
Like George went back.
George, yeah, Commisal went back.
Yeah.
I think it's just whoever it suits, and I think it suits taller people for sure. But I'll definitely get the chance to test one. They've got GT has something in the pipeline. So
at the end of the day, it's got to be what you fit, kind of, right?
Yeah, exactly. What you feel comfortable on.
It's pretty much what everybody said on this couch all week. So it's cool to hear that everybody has a similar opinion. All right, last 3 questions, but before that, we want to talk about the Trail Forks Trail Challenge fundraiser tonight. Looks like we got $3 wieners, $2 beers, can't go wrong. All proceeds go to Worka. It's going to be at the Lift Coffee Company at 6 to 9 p.m. Go to the coffee company, get some beer, start your day there, end your day there. You guys going to be going to that party?
Yeah,
just heard about it.
Might check it out.
First time I've heard of it.
So how are you guys going to train for Val de Sol? It's coming up next week.
Yeah, next week. Right?
Jeez.
If you're starting training for that now.
Hey, maybe don't go to the party tonight.
I don't think we'll be going to that tonight.
Val de Sol next week. That's like gotta be the heaviest track on the World Cup circuit.
Yeah, it blows out pretty fast. I mean, for it to be the last World Cup, I guess we've done all the preparing we can. Like, we've just come from Mount St. Anne, so we know what a rough track is like to ride. But I think coming here as well and just riding your bike is probably what you could do best for sure.
Is it nice to have that one as world champs? Because I mean, that seems like the one that's really the proving ground. I've walked that track before, and just like any footage of steep riding terrain, the footage never does it justice.
No, not at all. It,
Yeah.
It for sure separates the men from the boys.
Yeah, last year we had it for World Champs, and like you walk the track on Wednesday, and then by race day, there was like a waist deep hole.
Yeah,
Just a
like
different track.
Insane.
Second and last shoot, I'm sure there was a hole where you dropped in where they had to follow.
Oh yeah, they had to
wood.
put a boardwalk down.
Yeah, that was probably waist deep.
Well, that says something too. If they decided to have World Champs there 2 years in a row.
Oh no, World Champs is in Kansas here.
Okay, so
World
that's
Cup
just the World Cup finals.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I was there for the World Champs though back in 08, I think it
Yeah.
was, when Sam had that washout, and then I definitely think that's one that I always tune in for because definitely separates the men from the boys.
Yeah.
But good luck to you guys at that race next week. Good luck to you guys at World Champs. Have fun the rest of the week here, and of course, good luck for you at the Canadian Open Downhill tomorrow. Don't go to the party. All y'all go to the party because you're not racing tomorrow. But you guys get some good rest.
Cheers, man.
I appreciate you guys coming, showing up to the couch. And thank you guys for all tuning in. We'll see you next time. Adios, amigos.
Cheers, Pinkbike.